of this webinar. And let me introduce you to the speakers of the webinar. So today we have Pradeep Jhunjhunwala. He is Director, Partner Technology at Microsoft. Pradeep has more than 20 years of experience in technology experience and in devising and implementing sales and business boosting strategies. We also have Sunil, who heads cybersecurity and data security piece for Embee. We'll have Ashish Tandon, who is cloud security lead for India and SARC from Checkpoint. And supporting us today with quizzes and survey, we have Hariom from Team Marketing Embee. I welcome all of you to the webinar once again. I would like to quickly share some quick housekeeping rules. So please stay on mute at all times. In case you have any question, just give us a raise of hand and we will call you out. And please keep your videos off all times. During the webinar, we will have 2 rounds of quiz. So you have to stay plugged in with the webinar, right? So during this webinar, we'll have 2 rounds of quiz. Highest scorers will win Amazon vouchers worth $300, $100 each for top 3 winners, right? So results will be announced towards the end of the webinar, right? So apart from the quiz, you also stand a chance to avail 2 months of complimentary Cloud Guard Security Posture Management license, coupled with complimentary cloud security and compliance assessment, right? So before we begin, I would like to take 5 minutes and run you through a quick introduction around Embee Software, your host for today's webinar. So Hariom, can you please confirm when your screen is visible? Is my screen visible, Hariom?
Yes, Ivani.
Thank you. All right. So at Embee, our mission is to enable organizations transform with technology in a digital, mobile-first, data-driven world. And so far, we have successfully transformed over 2,500 plus organizations. And how do we drive transformation? So we at Embee, we bring in the technology expertise with strategic thinking for transforming the IT. We improve business agility for our customers. We empower them to do more, to be more with the digital workplace. The story doesn't quite end here. We also make sure that technology solution that's delivered, it's well embraced and utilized to its full potential. And hence, technology adoption remains a core empowerment throughout the process. And with 24/7 managed services, we aim at helping customers focus on what really matters for their business, leaving technology to us. So to give you all a view into Embee as an organization, we have been successfully running the show. We have been in the business for more than 30 years now. And we have close to 1,000 plus customers with whom our engagement stands at being decades old. Our presence is pan India with 8 locations across the country, and with the last financial year, we had crossed $100 million revenue. Our heart of services is cloud transformation with deep expertise in data modernization, application modernization, cloud security, and more. So speaking of transformations, we have done more than 500 successful on-time, on-budget project implementations in last 3 years. And of course, all of this has been possible with our 500 plus strong workforce that's absolutely committed to customer success. That's a very quick view into our journey. So our journey basically started in 1989, where we focused on software reselling. And then during 1996-2000, we emerged as a Microsoft licensing partner. And by that time, we had one key account such as Indian Army, Tata Steel. And our major growth journey started from 2000, where we added new services and solutions to our portfolio, and we expanded our presence to new locations. So from being software reselling uh, to being a front runner in the technology solutions and services industry, MB has now matured into being a trusted technology and strategic partner that's enabling organizations to leverage a wide range of technologies towards their own transformation. So that's our key customers. So we have more than 2,500 customers, but that's a very quick snapshot of our key customers. And that's a very high level view of our solution buckets. So uh, on the cloud front, basically, the solutions are divided within cloud solutions. So cloud solutions caters to your infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, application modernization, cloud security, which we will be talking in depth about during this webinar. Workplace modernization powered by Modern Workplace by Microsoft, apps and data, system integration solutions, and 24/7 managed services. So on the cloud front, we offer entire lifecycle of services on Microsoft Azure platform, ranging from consulting, solution architecting, migration services. Um, as I mentioned, covering both infrastructure as a service and application modernization, supplemented by cloud security, robust cloud security, and 24/7 remote managed services, which is everything about offering, monitoring and proactive support and maintenance for our customers' cloud workloads. So with this, I would like to hand it over to you, um, Pradeep. Do we have Pradeep?
Yeah, I'm there.
Yeah. Okay, great. Wonderful. So Pradeep, over to you. Let's take it ahead and let's get started.
Just let me know when you can see my screen.
Sure, it's visible. Yeah.
Let me just blow it up. Thank you, guys. Very good morning, and I hope you're doing safe. If family is safe, and thank you for attending Azure Security webinar. Basically, the whole cloud webinar. My name is Pradeep Jhunjhunwala. I'm a director for partner technology, and what I do is basically work with partners and make sure the partner know our technology, understand what we are doing in the technology world, and make sure that they go and deliver to you in the most optimal and the most secure manner. So today we're talking about all the hybrid security and the cloud security. But before we go there, correct, I want to start with common assumptions, myths, practices, what a lot of people have, correct? So there are three common things which I hear a lot of time, and the whole agenda for the next 20-30 minutes is I want to basically break that myth and work with you on telling the Microsoft story about the security, what we do in the security. So one of the myth or assumption people have is Microsoft is not a security company. We do a lot of work. We are a great technology company. We do Office 365, we do Azure, we do Windows and SQL, but we are not a security company. So, and I've heard from a lot of people that, okay, Microsoft is not a security company. So this is something which I'm going to talk about and talk about how we are one of the largest or the largest security company in the world. Last year, we crossed a landmark number, which is $10 billion in sales on security product, which I don't think any other company can boost up. So we are one of the largest security company in the world, and I'm going to talk about that what type of products and what type of service offering, what we're doing in the world today. The second is where we see a lot of issues. Developers don't need to focus on security, or security is an afterthought when the product is developed. Or security is a domain of CISO in the organization. He will set up a network which is secure. I can go on developing the whole thing. It's the job of the CISO to make sure the product is secure. And this is something which is super critical now. Because if I look at the security landscape, and I'm going to talk about this in the fag end of my presentation, if I talk about the security landscape, 70% of breaches are happening because of this. no more people are really concerned about the parameter security that much, but this is coming as a big challenge which customers are looking at, and that's why you will hear from Checkpoint what they are doing on APM security and stuff like that, or posture management, where they are actually looking at code and seeing where people are going wrong. The third is security is cloud provider's responsibility. I'm moving to Azure. I'm moving to any other cloud provider. I'm secure now. Mr. Microsoft, please take care of the security. I moved in to Azure. Is now your headache. And this is a super myth. The way I want to call it out is that this is where we see a lot of attacks happening. Because when we are on-premise, we take care of a lot of stuff. But when we go to cloud, we stop doing it. So to answer this question, I want to talk about something called shared responsibility. Cloud security is a shared responsibility. It's a joint effort between the OEM, Microsoft, and you to basically go and make sure security is taken care of. So if I look at the model on the right-hand side where I say on-prem, IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS, in on-prem world, you do everything. You do networking, storage, security, you do everything. In the cloud world, if I will take SaaS, you have a security responsibility. You have to, if I take Office 365 also, you need to choose the right SKU, which is going to make the solution secure. You need to have the right devices which are accessing the whole thing. You need to make sure your identity is protected. You need to make your password policies really right. You need to enable MFA for your users, correct? You need to understand what is happening with the users. Our users are logging from, you have tools to understand whether the users are logging from 2 different locations, which means there's an issue which is happening, correct? So all that is responsibility of a customer. When I move to PaaS, it is again the data, the way the data is stored is your responsibility, whether you want to encrypt the data or not, whether you want to have the advanced threat management or not, is something the customer understand that. And what type of signals you are getting from PaaS, and how can you correlate that and understand whether these signals are happening because of some security event. We can give you those data, but then correlating that event and understand whether this is a threat or this is a genuine business need can only be done by you. So that's super, super important that you take care of it. When we move to IaaS, your landscape or your exposure or security really become higher because we take care of all the stuff from your basic hypervisor, the storage networking, but anything above the OS is what you really need to work on. Make sure that is there, correct? So that's why we call it a shared responsibility. We don't call it as my responsibility or your responsibility. In cloud world, it is a shared responsibility. So let me just talk about what we do and how we do it and what we are expecting out of what are the products we bring out for our customers so that they can do their part of it, correct? So if you look at this slide, we actually use a lot of graph APIs to make sure that we actually make sure that our security is really, really tight. So we have multiple teams in Microsoft which take care of it. We have the Cyber Defense Operations Center. This is a 24/7 Cyber Defense Center that units all our security experts, our data scientists in a centralized location. We have a lot of advanced tools. Real-time analytics helps us to protect, detect, and respond to a threat to Microsoft Cloud infrastructure. We have a digital criminal crime unit. We call it DCU. A team of legal and technical experts who work with law enforcement, people like Europolice, FBI, Interpol's, Indian agencies, to make sure all the right people are aware of what is happening across the world. And if we know that there's somebody who's not behaving right on the net, they're taking to the right task. And then we have this cyber hunting team. And this is a very interesting concept. So in Microsoft, we spend $1 billion just on security research and security innovation and security team. So this cyber hunting team is called Microsoft Blue Team, which is a set of hackers who keep on attacking our own infrastructure. And then the set of red team, which goes and protects against them. The whole idea of this blue team is to find out any loopholes in our deployments, in our Office deployment, in our Dynamics deployment, in our Azure deployment. So instead of any third-party hacker finding out, we have our own hacker find it out, and if we find any issues, we go and plug that up. Then we have this MMPC team, which is Malware Protection Center. This is perhaps the largest antivirus and anti-malware service, which is committed to helping Microsoft to respond to malware outbreaks by continuous gathering vast amount of signals across the world. Then we have something called Security Response Center, Microsoft Security Response Center. We call it MSRC. This is a Microsoft team which identifies, monitor, response to all the security incidents and vulnerability on Microsoft services, software, and devices. This is a cross-country team which basically works with multiple organizations, external and internal, to make sure that we are good on the security line. Now, what we protect? We protect identity. This is super critical because that's what we protect. We protect all the app and the data, which is all the important business confidential app and data which we are storing. Because we are protecting all the infrastructure, which is all of the Azure infrastructure, Office infrastructure, and stuff like that, and all the devices. Apart from putting BAP, putting scanning of the people, we do all of that. We have huge amount of data scientists which actually goes and monitors everything. And then what we have, we integrate that with a lot of technologies what we're bringing in. Things like Smart Screen, correct, which is built into Internet Explorer to provide a cloud-powered protection against website attack and application attack and stuff like that. The whole Windows Update service, what we provide, and Active Protection service, what we provide to protect against the whole antivirus and stuff like that. And then we also build a lot of services which the end customer can use. So we talked about all the services, what we are doing. Then we have a lot of third parties with a lot of services which we build, like Office 365, Advanced Protection, Security Center, Key Vault, Information Protection. Then I'll go and talk about that much deeper. That's what we are doing to protect our infrastructure. Plus, apart from this, what we also do is we go and make sure that we are compliant to most of the certifications available in the world. And why we do this? See, there are two ways of saying that we are secure. One is we go and give you a pitch that we are doing so much for security, so please believe us. And we do that. You saw the amount of investment we have. $1 billion is a huge investment what we put in the security, and we basically build products and make sure that our infrastructure is secure, which is serving our customer. But we also go to external agencies, and we say that please come and audit us. Make sure that we follow every best practices standard for just not technology, process, and the type of people we are hiring. Today, we have the largest amount of certifications available on Azure, the compliance certification Azure. And this is just not a global certification, it is regional certificates like the India MIT certifications, or the industry certification like the Basel II certification, stuff like that, so that we can make sure that we adhere to every industry norms, every country norms, and the global certifications, so that we have the best of the processes, we have the best of the people working on it, and obviously we build the best technology to protect our customer data, which is hosted on our data centers. So this is what we are doing to protect it. But what we are bringing out for our customers, correct? So when I say that we are a $10 billion security company, we must be bringing a lot of products for our customers. And this slide is going to talk about that, where we bring out tons of product for our customer. So, and if you see at the bottom, we start with identity. And a lot of time when we talk about identity, people don't think identity as a security pillar. But in the new era of cloud, people are moving away from something called zone-based or switch-based security to identity-based security. Because if I take a traditional data center, the security was basically on DMZ. Somebody put a area which is called DMZ, demilitarized zone, and every traffic is controlled there, and that's the main point of security. And I'm controlling the device behavior on the way that it's going to respond. Now with cloud coming in and multiple data centers happening and people working from anywhere, That is literally becoming impossible. So what we are saying is start controlling identity. You need to know who has access to what, whether they can come and access the server. And if this person is not supposed to access the database directly and it's found on that, that's a security breach. Because even every study says that 80% of breaches happen internally. So we need to take care of both internal and external breach. So focus on identity. And if this person does not belong to your organization, should not be also on the front layer. So remove that. So we build a very, very strong identity system in some term of something called Azure Active Directory, which is one of the largest Active Directory system in the world. We bought in services like PIM, which is priority access management, conditional access, and all what is required to basically make sure the security is there. And we made it hybrid, which means it does not only runs on Azure, it runs on Office 365, it runs on-premise, it runs on AWS, it runs on Salesforce, SAP Cloud, anything. So that's what we did. And it runs from the smallest Azure cloud, which is Azure Sphere, running on IoT device, to the whole blown Azure, which is running on our data centers. Then we are bringing a lot of control and other tools. So on the baseline, we are building tools for Azure. Let me just build this slide up. We are building a ton of tools for Office 365, which is our product you buy for business productivity and stuff like that. We bought MFA and stuff like that. But on Azure, if you look at it, we are talking about products from the firewalls, the layer 4 to layer 7 firewall, the web application firewall, the DDoS, to the first cloud SIEM. So we are the first provider of a product called Sentinel, which is the first SIEM on cloud, which is enabled by AI for you. And we are the first first hyperscaler to bring it. So, and I'm going to talk about that in much detail and show you a demo in this couple of minutes. That's what we bring in. We bring in Azure Defender to just not secure what is running on Azure, but what's running on AWS, what's running on on-premise. So we are bringing security products which are true hybrid in nature. We bought policies, we bought blueprints to proactively secure your environment. We have product like Security Center, Azure Defender to secure all the different infrastructure you have. And then we have something called Azure Advisor to make sure that you know what is happening in it. So we have ton of projects, product what we are coming and working with you so that we can make sure that your environment is safe. And we are also doing issuing best practices and guidelines where we're saying how can you do the true SecOps? How can you make sure the environment is really secure? But the most important thing what we are doing is working with partners like Checkpoint to make sure that we truly integrate the solution on Azure. We truly integrate their logs in our technology. And I'm going to show you that in a minute. Partners are super important for us. Working with partners like Embee so that they can go and implement both the technology, Checkpoint and Microsoft Security for you, because they are the person who's going to really deploy the stuff for you. So that's the superpower what we are bringing in, working with partners to make sure the partners, we understand the partner products, we value their products, we make sure that we integrate those products in our stack, and we enable our services partner to go and deliver these products to you. That's some of the most important thing what we are trying to do. So let me quickly move to the demo. So I'll try to show a couple of demos and show you what we are trying to do on the Azure side. So this is a Azure port for people who have not seen it. I hope most of you have seen it. This is something called Azure Sentinel, where what we do is we collect a bunch of log from a lot of different sources. So if you look at the sources, what we're talking about, this can be a normal sys logs from the Linux machine, or even log from Windows, or a third-party logs, what we're talking about. And you can see Checkpoint here, correct? So you can see Checkpoint and all the different devices here, where we can go and collect the logs, and we can bring those logs to a central place to basically look at what is happening. This overview dashboard gives you what we have collected in terms of security logs, what are the recent incidents which happened, what are the security other logs, what we are collecting, Azure Diagnostic, what are the alerts, and what are the incidents which has happened in your environment, what are false positive, what are new ones, what are active. So you have a bird's eye view of what is happening. If I go down bottom, it actually shows you the world map and say where we are seeing, because remember we have 66 data center regions in Azure. We host more than 100 data centers across the world. We are there in multiple countries, some 45 countries we are present, and we are expanding. Yesterday we announced a data center in Azure. So we get signals across the world. And with the signals, we are able to make that telemetry saying that where in the world there's malicious traffic happening. Right now, we see 2 places in the world where there's a lot of malicious potential malware of traffic is coming in, and we can tell people what IPs they have and please block those IPs and be cautious if traffic is coming from that place. So we can connect to various sources, more than 100 sources what we can connect to, and then we can go and look into it. But we can go deep down and understand what is happening. So let me just give you a sample of it. So I can go to a log and want to see how much is the traffic coming from in and out to all the firewalls in my environment. I want to see traffic which is coming out basically from all the firewall which is running on AWS, running on Azure, running on-premise, in a truly hybrid manner, correct? So I basically go to, I've created a query just to save time. I go there and if I look at this query, correct, what you're going to see is all the activity which has been taken from Office, AWS Cloud, everything coming here. I can run this query. It gives me a complete, it brings all the data, looks at all the thing, and then I can rerun this query to see all the traffic coming in. I can see that I can some issue with. I can run this chart. It will give me a complete environment where I can see what is happening in the environment. It will detect any anomalies. It will alert me up saying that this time of the week the traffic is high, and I can go drill down and see what is happening. So let me see if I drill down and see what is happening, how it looks like. So let me just take one more. These are different type of alerts which are coming up. So I can go and say, okay, this is the SAP environment which I have. I can see multiple logons which is happening. And I want to investigate why the multiple logins is happening. I can go here and really investigate what is happening. So I can see, okay, this is an instance coming from this user. I can go and understand the events, and this user is trying to do a login, and I can run a query, understand the complete trail of what is happening on this user. So this type of stuff where I can really correlate and understand what is happening, plus I can put AI and ML on top of it and build that influence to give me that anomaly or issues which is happening in my environment. I can understand the whole threat detection which is happening on it, and understand the complete threat happening on my environment, on which IP address, where stuff is coming up, where you see attack. So if you see this one, correct, there's the attacker is using brute force to get access to the server, correct? We can identify the attack, we can understand identify the IP address is coming up, time it is coming up. So all those different things what we can see and bring it onto a central system called Sentinel. Plus what we have done is we are making this open source. So we have built a huge community which is contributing to it. So all the different scripts, what you're talking about, all the different runbooks we are talking about, the Python runbooks we are talking about, we are making it open source so you can actually download and work, because we think this is the best way to make sure that people really uses this technology. On the second demo, we also have something called Security Center. Again, this is a hybrid product where you can use it on across cloud. It's also called Azure Defender, where I can actually tell you what is happening in the environment. From the regulation side, what is happening. So you see, correct, for ISO 27001, I can go and see how much compliant I am. Means whether I'm following the right norms or not. out of the 39 controls, I'm passed on 17, and which are the other controls I have not passed on. I can go and see that, and I can basically understand the control details. I can implement those control details to make sure I'm compliant on ISO 27001. And when the auditor comes in, I really don't have to do anything. I just export this compliance and said to them that please go and audit and make me compliant. It will go and install antivirus and anti-malware across all the Azure services and make sure that every service is compliant, whether it is a Linux VM or whether it's a Windows VM or this is a container. It will go and do that, all of that, or a SQL server or a storage account. It will go and do that. Plus, it does something very, very interesting. It also goes and detects the attack which is happening on your environment or not. So if you look at it, there is an attack which is happening. So if I want to go and find out the details of those attacks, I can actually see what is happening on this attack. There's an attack which is happening. I can find out which is the IP address of the attacker. I can see attacker is using which names to attack it. So there was a 12 authentication attack which happens on this machine. They were trying to use RDP, and they actually tried to use these different names to attack it. So we know that this machine is getting attacked. What time this attack, which means this machine is open to a port, and we need to protect it. But the other way of protecting this machine is we also give you something called Azure Advisory. This is a place where you see a complete overview of what is happening on your environment, and we allow you to actually export the whole report out and understand what's your advisor score. This is a test environment, so most of the reports are not coming because my resources are shut down. But then apart from security, it gives you a cost recommendation saying that this machine is over provision or under provision. Reliability, which means that this is not right, or you're not put HA, or the operation is not right, but let's focus on security. It gives you all that security, what I'm looking at, and you can actually look at it, correct? My Azure Defender is not enabled on this, or the management port on this machine should be just in time because I've opened RDP port, which is not the right thing to do, or the storage account is not encrypted, or the disk is not encrypted. And it has also allowed me to take actions on that. And I can actually go and take download this as a PDF. And this is the whole advisor report which I can download, and I can see what is happening inside my subscription. So if you look at it, correct, I have a machine which does not have a disk encryption applied to it, which means there's a potential, and there's a file machine which is an issue with it. I don't have a Azure Defender for the DNS, which is an issue because my DNS can be hacked. I'm not using a private endpoint for a SQL server. So what we are trying to do with the different tools, what we are coming out to be, one, we are trying to be proactive. And this is a classic example of how we are going to be proactive, because this report is available to every customer who's running Security Center, every customer is running Azure. And this report is telling that this is the places you have gone wrong, Mr. Customer. Please fix it. And there's a potential security breach which can happen. And we are going and saying high, medium, and low. So you can prioritize which is more important and is less important. We are going and actually putting a score against all of that. This is called the advisor score. So you can actually go to MSSP and say, I want to have the 90 percentile of the store. So you can manage your whole environment with the best practices Microsoft is recommending to you. Then we are doing tools which can do reactive stuff, the Azure Security Centers and stuff like that. And then we are giving you tools like Azure Sentinel, which can do both proactive and reactive stuff, and actually find RCA to the stuff to the environment you're working on. And this goes across the environment. It looks at application, it looks at third-party tools like Checkpoint, and it looks at our native stuff to give you the best of breed what you're running in. So that's some of the tools, glimpse of some of the tools what we are doing. Coming back to the last question, correct? The code security, or whether the developer need to really secure. And I know I'm really fag end of the time, but I'm going to.
Yeah, Pradeep. So if we can quickly wind up, that would
this
be
is the last slide, and I'm going to wind up with this.
Sure, Pradeep. Sure, please go ahead.
Yeah, the reason I'm talking about this is because this is super important. We are building application, and as Microsoft, we have technologies which really work across the complete DevOps cycle to make sure that security is there. And I'm going to just end up by a 30-second story which I have and why this is important. I was working with there's a large crypto company which we were working with. These guys did a very neat job. Somebody wanted to hack them. You know what they did? They understood that this crypto company uses a open source tool, open source code, which everybody of us use, correct? One of the hackers actually started working with that open source tool and not this provider. And in open source world, if you go and want to contribute, everybody is welcome. This person went and worked with that one application, one piece of code which this company was using, which was open source, worked with the original open source builder of that, and inserted a dependency bug in that. And when this pool happened, the bug got into the cryptocurrency guy's code. And then he tried to use that to exploit the vulnerability. Everything else was fine. So people are going to that extent. So that's why you need to have security in your DevOps cycle and make sure you use the right security product. That's why GitHubs or the Visual Studio becomes so super critical to make sure that whole development cycle is secure and is not an afterthought. It's security is embedded as you're developing a product. So thank you very much, and over to you.
Thank you, Pradeep. Thank you so much. Yes, security remains a paramount especially during the times when we all work remotely, right? So thank you so much, Pradeep. And so now it's quiz time, and your first stab at winning worth Amazon $100 Amazon vouchers. So we'll start with that. And but before that, let me tell you how it all works, right? So all of you have to open kahoot.it. Um, I would like to ask Hariom to take the screen share and tell all the contestants, show us, how it's going to work. So all of you have to open kahoot.it. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Let me
And
know when my screen is visible.
yes, it's visible. And on your, so you all can open kahoot.it on your browser window or on your smartphone browser, wherever you can. And this is the game pin that Hariom has shared on the screen. And you'll have to enter it. And as you enter it, you'll be in the quiz. So everybody with me? Show me a raise of hands if it's clear with everybody. Okay, I see. I'm seeing a lot of, okay, 3 hands, fine. So I'm assuming, yes, great, great. So once again, the kahoot.it is the URL you have to open in your browser window or on your smartphone browser. And this is the game pin that Hariom is projecting on the screen right now, 9453881, right? You'll have to enter it and you'll be in the quiz and read the question from the Teams webinar screen. And you have to quickly answer from your Kahoot interface. Okay. And you'll have only 20 seconds to answer. So this is the fastest
Yeah.
thing first. And you have to answer in a flash. So
Sorry,
I hope,
Shivani.
yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah, guys, please uh, put your full name instead of a nickname in the nickname field that is appearing in your Kahoot game.
Yes,
Yeah, so
absolutely.
that we can see your full name on the screen.
And it will help us announce
Yeah.
the winners better, right? So as we can see, people are logging in to participate in the quiz. So Hariom, over to you. Project the question when you see we are ready. Yeah.
Yes, Shivani. So we are just seeing 10 to 12 participants here, 13 total participants. So let's wait for another 2 minutes.
Okay. A minute should be fine. Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
Let's wait for a minute and then we'll project the question. So yeah. Okay, I see enough participants. Let's start. Arjun. So Azure is a shared dash model. So on your Kahoot browser screen interface or on your phone, you have to answer. Okay. Want to take up the next question?
Where can you see the overall health of the Azure deployment? So options are artifact, advisor score, hard copy in the mail, well architected.
Okay, okay, great. Hariom, you can stop the screen share and uh, we'll announce the final because we have one more round of quiz. So you can buckle up and those who could not perform in the first round can actually participate in the second round and post that we will be announcing the winners. Yeah. Okay, great. So over to you, Sunil. Please take it ahead.
One second.
Yes, Sunil, your screen is visible.
Yeah. Hi everyone. Thanks for joining. So I'm going to cover three major topics in my presentations. So I'll be covering on the latest trends on worldwide globals in terms of audit findings related to cloud. In second part of the presentation is covering about around Embee Software capabilities. What is our capabilities and how together along with Azure and Checkpoint we are going to build the best of security practices for our customers to help minimize the risk. And what are the public cloud infrastructure security challenges. So these parts I'll be covering. But before I start, I would be also reiterating the facts what Pradeep from Azure team from Microsoft has talked about related to shared responsibility model. So when we talk about any cloud, public cloud infrastructure, or even for private cloud infrastructure, you opt for the services and then you get those kind of a services. So when it talking about public cloud infrastructure specific to your Azure, AWS or GCP, it is more on the shared responsibility model. How it is a shared responsibility model that at times, and why I am just trying to emphasize on this time and again, because we have seen that people are in the in the mode of like, once it is something hosted on any public cloud, I'm secure. If I have got any Office 365 subscription, is by default I get all kind of a security. But this is a myth. You have all those services, security services are available on Azure or any public cloud infrastructure. It's just that we need to subscribe based on our concerns and the requirements, and basis that we will help you with the security solutions. The cloud services models are differentiated by the type of services provided by the cloud providers versus the cloud managed services. So when we talk about managed services, you opt for the various services that what you want to build around that. And there are 6-step process and the methodologies that I will be just wanted to emphasize in terms of risk minimizations. As you know, the risk is more to do with the vulnerability into the multiplied by threats. So when it comes to the vulnerabilities, it is ongoing processes which is internal to us, and we can do that assessment time and again and get rid of it. Threat is something which is an externals. So together it relates to the risk. Now what we are trying to bring, we as an MB, and what is your objective to minimize the risk? So I'll be talking about briefly in terms of the 6-step process, that understanding of the business environment is nowadays very critical. Why it is business environment? Because the kind of industry that you fall into, you have a different kind of a security requirements and the compliance requirement that you need to meet. Identifications of the critical assets. So you might be having various kind of assets, maybe some ERP applications, some ticketing tool, and maybe BI tool. So identification, what is the critical for me? And after the identification, what are the potential risk on these identified assets? And prioritizing the risk is again very important. So security, when we talk about, there's so many things that we can deploy and try to minimize the risk, but then priority plays a very crucial and important role in decision making process for all of us in any kind of a size of the company, any enterprise for that matter. And obviously after that we need to evaluations, do the proper evaluation and put that kind of a control. So security is all about how do I minimize the risk by putting certain kind of a controls, the right controls. The right controls we bring with various multi-layer approach to security. Can I expect a single solutions which can do the entire job for me, ensure that, and that kind of assurance? In security, we use a lot of assurance words. So assurance can only be provided once you have a right fitment of the product and solutions deployed to your infrastructure, be it any infrastructure, whatever the services that you are running. So that's important that we go with the approach of defense in depth approach. So these are the jargons and the terms that normally any security companies might be using that defense in depth. But when we talk about building a wrapper for application security or database security or infrastructure security, we wrap with tiered approach. When we are talking about tiered approach and putting and not looking at the only in isolations. Why in isolation? But now you are running infrastructure, hybrid infrastructure, multi-cloud infrastructure. It is very important that there is a proper handshaking between all these gamuts of solutions and services that we deploy and that talks to each other, and the informations are correctly captured and gives you a proper graphical representation in terms of security landscape, which can really take you through meeting your governance regulations and the various compliances that you need to adhere to. And there is no denying the fact.
Sunil,
Huh.
Sunil, sorry to interrupt, but we can't see the slide. We can just see the intro slide right
I
now.
am not started as yet. I'll
Okay,
get into
sure,
that.
sure. Go ahead, please. Sorry.
So it's very important for us to meet the compliances, because there is every company is coming out, coming out with their own regulations, compliances. That's where governance plays a very important role in terms of internal audits. That gives you a fair idea into that. So I was talking about what is that security we are going to build around. In the cloud infrastructure, or be it any infrastructure specific to cloud, I'll talk about first layer of defense. I've seen many customers, we do have public cloud infrastructure, but then we don't have basic layer of security, which is the first line of defense, which is next generation firewall. When you talk about nowadays, most of the firewalls are these application aware, they're layer 7 firewalls. Those are not deployed. And we have this, I'm talking with recent times in COVID scenario, few of our customer got impacted where they got a hit onto their Azure infrastructure. And once I talked to customer, then they said, oh, it's an Azure, I don't have to do anything. It's not about that. It's all about what is that services that did you opt for Azure firewall services? Did you opt for any checkpoint firewall services? Any other defense mechanism in place? Do you have any Microsoft Defender in place? Did we run any kind of a Azure Advisory services, which is there is no charge in running those services. There are a lot of services which are there on Azure, which you all can take the report, and which Pradeep has also covered in his demo, which can really help you. What you deploy, it's not that you are only have to deploy Microsoft security services. Whatever there are n number of services which are there available on Azure, which you can deploy those security services. So you can run those advisory services. You can run those whatever there is there on the Microsoft Security Center is again one of the fantastic tool which you can run on Azure, which can help you give you clear cut picture. Now there are like I talked about various solutions. The common among these solutions are definitely first firewall that I talked about, then web application firewall, which is nowadays I'm talking about these in a chronological order in terms of with our experience and with our own conversation with various customers, that these are becoming quite prominent. Web application firewall, cloud security posture management. I'll be talking more in detail how which checkpoint is talking about cloud security posture management, which is very important in terms of helping you mitigate the risk. Now I'll be talking about Cloud Security Alliance. These are the latest reports and trends that I am talking about. So first, let me cover this internal audit reports, which I have recently got, I think, in the month of this month itself, which clearly indicates that International Auditors Internal Audit Foundation and Audit Risk Compliance Software Development Audit Board conducted recent survey for 134 internal audit leaders, and it has found that 22% of the respondents indicates that they intended to implement cloud-based technology this year. When we talk about, they also keep in mind the governance risk and the compliance cost, which is going to be first priority for the client. And another report which is ranked between 1 to 10, and this report I have fetched from ISACA and also a recent survey done by Protiviti, one of the consulting firm, global consulting firm. So if you see from the top and the bottom, if you go that way, if you see out of 10, it is 6.97, where the cyber breach is one of the major concerns, and confidentiality and the privacy of informations, regulatory compliance, and user access. Now, these four things you will come across is the biggest challenge in any company. Now, how the breach can happen with you can go through these multiple slides and other things in the chronological order, but I like to emphasize in terms of how it is really very important with our experiences in recent times, especially in the COVID times, what we have seen and what we have come across. One of our ISP customer, and they got 3 times attack onto their cloud cloud infrastructure, and every time they have come to us for seeking support, and being a solution and service provider, because we provide managed services to them, it is our also duty to provide all sorts of supports to them. And we really I was also there for almost close to 18 hours on the call, and we had team who were able to. This was the time when actually last year in 2020, when COVID started. I'm talking about in the month of April and May. It was very difficult even to move to their local offices, but we helped customer to overcome all these challenges with the help of our strong team and the experience that we have on the Azure. As you know, we have successful 50 to 60 odd customers into the Azure to whom we are providing services and support. Another survey and the which is research done by Checkpoint, which also talking about remote workforce getting targeted, and I'll be talking, you'll come to know how authentication, authorization plays a very important role when it comes to security. And I think Pradeep has also covered that point. Public cloud security is more than 75% is the concern for today's enterprise. Now, we know that these are the concerns for an enterprise, but at least basic level of firewall or cloud security posture management, or for that matter, Sentinel, which is SIM tool, which gives 360 view of your security. And not only that security, but critical security metrics, but also it helps you minimize those kind of a risk by taking the preventive measures and meeting your compliances. So Pradeep has also highlighted in terms of our association with Azure. Yes, we are more competent on Azure. That's what we are talking about, Azure infrastructure. And of course, we play a very vital role that we have a very good collaborations with Azure and checkpoints. But let me tell you, we are not competing, rather Azure is not competing here, but because checkpoint is one of the biggest ISV partner for Microsoft Azure, and with CSPM and your Azure Sentinel, which gives you a more 360 complete view of your security, and it brings a lot of automations. It brings reactive to proactive to mitigate your risk. And then in Embee, we have the various teams on Azure. We have a separate DevOps team. We have business analytics teams. We have SAP B1 team to help you seamlessly migrate your on-premise infrastructure to Azure. And we have a lot of customers. I think many of you may have experienced our services during this time. And not only we give you deployment and consulting, but we also, with our managed services, we ensure that whenever customer is in need of any kind of services, we are there to support. Since we have security team, we have various teams available 18 almost 24 hours, and this kind of services we are opting from our remote office, which is our also head office, and from Calcutta. And we have a good expertise of those 34 years. So we help you build, we as an Embee, we being a strong player into Azure and security, we help you build your managed cloud infrastructure on Azure. We help you build with modern apps with our DevOps teams. And then we have a seamless managed data center, data, and of course security. So at times there are, I've seen two things, like we may not have proper basic and proper security in place that we expect only can expect. So why security plays a very important role here, because my thought process is a little bit in terms of security is security should be a prime one of the prime and key focus for an enterprise. And most of you as an managing the IT security, you know that security is very important. We need to be secure to be available. So why it is important? Because let's say you have if it is not secure, you can't make it available. And these are the two challenges. Not only we have to make the infrastructure secure, we have to make it available, and available when we're talking about availability, we're talking about access layer security. So these three things plays a very important role. And these are the processes that we follow, that assessing the current infrastructure, consulting practice, migrating. Let's say we have many customers to whom we have migrated from Azure to Azure AD. We have many customers to whom we have helped migrate from Exchange to Office 365. And these migration has been very seamless migration. And that's the reason we do have a lot of good, happy customers for a long time with us. And these are some of the challenges, because in the cloud infrastructures, the attack surfaces are getting, because these are the borderless. So security, when we talk about these are borderless, means nowadays in a COVID situation, we are working from anywhere. And it's quite obvious that there are chances of getting any kind of error. Error in the sense it can be from human error. So if we talk about the triangle approach into the security, we talk about integrity, security, integrity, and availability, and we talk about confidentiality. So these three plays a very important role. Visibility and tracking. So once it is visible, what is critical, what is most critical, you will take that remedies. So if you need to have a proper tool for that. So workloads are ever changing. You're deploying new infra on, it is going on because crowd is growing and we are building much more infra and we are trying to bring a lot of automation. Key management and privilege access management is another concerns for many of the enterprise. And since we are managing multi-cloud infrastructure, it is very difficult to get a single view. We help you with cloud security posture management from Checkpoint, which is a leading solutions, will help you overcome these kind of challenges. You don't need to look into various consoles. Will give you collate the entire security into one single dashboard, which will help you, which Ashish will be covering in next presentation. He'll be also talking about the various compliance and regulations and how do we help mitigate the risk. And of course, any risk or any strategies or anything that we build around enterprise, it is very important to alignment of goals with our enterprise goals of the company. And of course, the results should be measurable. Again, this is also one of the quote that it talks about Microsoft Azure, that data endpoint security, account management, and access management are the key concerns which needs to overcome. And these, we are again, Microsoft here is trying to emphasize that public cloud infrastructure is a shared responsibility. You opt for the services, and we have a lot of security, almost all kind of a security measures you can take. Things are there. Then we have to look at either managed cloud infrastructure, or you have to opt for those kind of a services. And if the securities are not proper, then this is what happens. Your time gets consumed. I talked about 18 hours, 20 hours. It can lost to your, not only to the revenue, also lost to a reputation in the market, and it can affect your value share, everything. So it is very, these things can only be taken care once you have a proper security things in place. And one most important recent survey, which I would like to bring for the benefit, and why I'm trying to again emphasize on recent survey and the recent data, because now it is going to benefit each one of us. How it is going to benefit each one of us? There's a security risk and remedies and the security assessment on whatever that we are doing. It is now has become borderless, and even hybrid and cloud infrastructure, they don't have any boundaries and they are borderless. And you cannot, a virus can travel from any part of the country to your part of any corner it can hit. So it is very important to know the global, how that global data are moving, what are the various regulations, compliances, what are the various governance. It really helps to take the ahead of the others, and also take the right approach before anyone does. You can implement or do those kind of remedies, and you can get rid of this. So I'll be referring now to CSA, Cloud Security Alliance, which is a non-profitable organizations which gives you. So I'll be talking what CSA is. So CSA mission is to promote the use of best practices for providing security assurance within cloud computing and to provide education on use of cloud infrastructure. So Csa report, this is the very latest report I'm talking about, this month report only. It says in its new survey, 58% of responding are concerned about security on cloud. While misconfigurations are one of the leading causes of breaches and outages. So at times we give permissions and at times certain ports are open and we maybe we have not taken the corrective measures and maybe those ports remains unopened and becomes a vulnerable. And we may not have a proper access control mechanism. That's again a big concern for an enterprise. Now there are three top regions for the breaches according to the recent survey. The complexities of the cloud environment, 53% of the people do agree that the reason of the breaches happening. Lack of education and training, 45% of the report says because of that. And unexplained human error. That's the reason what we are talking about time and again, the error. So whatever the three principles I talked about, confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So it is very important that we have proper access control in place. Recent report on the Gartner also says by 2023, 75% of the security failure will result from inadequate management of identity, access, and privilege. Again, I will say by year 2023, 75% of security failures will result from inadequate management of identities, access, and privilege, which was earlier 50%. So you can think of, and since now we all are working, you only want that only through clean systems we are allowed to access any public cloud infrastructure or office infrastructure, and that to be only through corporate machines. So this is where, as with help of Azure security and also from Checkpoint, we will help you mitigate all these kind of a risk, some kind of assurance that you meet your not only industrial compliances, your governance, and also minimizing the risk and overcome ongoing business challenges. So public cloud seems to be complex. We'll make it easy for you with our expertise, and we help you automate and scale the security. Automation is one of the focus. We will with the automation focuses on detection of security misconfigurations. Impact of security mistakes can be greatly reduced through proactive misconfiguration prevention and automated remedies. That CSPM, Cloud Security Posture Management from Checkpoint, help you do that. And that easily gets your best part is their integration of the Cloud Security Posture Management and your Sentinel is the best combinations that you can get security on Azure. And so my next speaker will be from Checkpoint. He is going to cover Ashish. He will be there after my presentation is over. He will be helping you to prevent security mistakes from happening. He will be helping you secure public cloud infrastructure. He will be helping and talking more about reducing the attack surface. He'll be talking about bringing automations to your security. He'll be helping you with his product and the solutions, mitigate the risk. He'll be helping you move from detections to detection and preventive. So with this, I end my presentation. Thank you very much for joining and listening to me. And if any one of you need any kind of these latest reports and the findings that I have talked about, you can reach out to me, Sivani, or any of our teams. I'll be more than happy to share all these kind of various reports which I have gathered. So thank you so much and hope you enjoy our next session with Ashish Tandon. Over to you, Sivani.
Thank you, Sunil. Before Ashish, I'll have to squeeze in a little quiz again because the game is going on really interesting, Sunil, and we are seeing a lot of participation happening here. So a quick round of quiz right now, and then we'll hand it over to Ashish. I hope Ashish that is okay. So yeah, Hariom, over to you. So once again, I have just posted out the steps in the chat window as well. So you guys can go ahead, go to kahoot.it, enter your game pin, which is 9453881, and enter your full name because that is how we're going to, award you, right? So you have to see the question from your Teams or webinar screen, which you're looking at right now, and you have to answer on your Kahoot screen, which is your, your browser window or your smartphone, wherever you're looking at, right? So Hariom, can you please take over and project the next question?
Yes, ma'am. So I am back to Kahoot, and I am going to the next question.
Okay, true or false? Three key foundational patterns for baseline security are IAM, KMS, landing zone. You have 10 seconds to go. That's it. Okay, great. Thank you, Hariom. You can stop your screen share.
Sure.
Great work. I can see Paresh, Mukund, Nitin. Great. We have one more round of the quiz, which will happen after Ashish's presentation. So without any further delay, let's get started. Ashish, over to you.
Thank you, Shivani. Good afternoon, everyone. Good morning, rather, and glad to be with you today. All right, so let me start. So my name is Ashish Tandon, and I'm responsible for the cloud security sales for Checkpoint for India and SAARC. Very quick introduction to Checkpoint if you haven't worked with us before. So we are a global leader for cybersecurity. We've been around for more than 27 years, headquartered in Israel, and listed on NASDAQ. And we've really been in every leaders quadrant for network security in every quadrant that's ever come out, right? So today we secure everything from IoT to cloud to data center to mobile to endpoint, and also your remote working employees. So today we're going to talk about cloud, and our association with Microsoft is has been there for a long time, and you heard Sunil say this as well. So we are the #1 ISP partner for Microsoft, and also the #1 security partner for Microsoft globally. So very strong relationship, and we're also part of all the security alliances with Microsoft, including MSIA. So what we are seeing, why this alliance is so important for us, and why is the partnership with Embee so important? Because we see that customers have really started moving to the cloud. They have, they've got, moving sort of lift and shift of applications, also developing brand new applications when you move to the cloud, because there's so many things that you can do today on your Azure environment or any of your multi-cloud environments that you cannot do on-prem, right? Including machine learning, AI, all of these things were very difficult to do on-prem. So from a business standpoint, cloud is just amazing. And last year, because of COVID, obviously we've seen a lot of rushed innovation, so to speak, because there was no other choice, right? You had to run something which would be reliant, and it, you need to run it, without people being in the office. So all of this is happening, and at the same time now, when you start migrating or developing applications directly, right, you also notice a big change in your development lifecycle, right? You no longer have the old way of doing security and doing your development, right? So when you move to the cloud, I don't know how many people are from a security background here, right? There are two words that security people cannot use anymore, and those are stop and no. These don't work, right? So in a fight between security and DevOps, DevOps will always win because the business wants agility. The business wants to go out and capture that market share. And so for security to be successful, it has to keep pace, and it has to integrate really with this DevOps. So what does that mean, right? So this is what you would do for security when you are on-prem, right? You have these 4 steps, regardless of how you set up your environment. The first thing you want to do is you want to set up a perimeter. You want to keep the bad guys out, right? So this is something that all security professionals have been doing for ages. Checkpoint certainly has been in this journey for as long as you can remember, right? So that's the first step, right? So once you've established a perimeter, and the next thing for you to do is to make sure that your posture is correct. What does that mean, right? I mean, you've got the right security, SSL in place. You've got your encryption in place. You've got your IAM policies correctly set up so that someone doesn't get access to your cloud environment or your on-premise environment. And then once you've done all of this, right, the next thing for you to do is to make sure that any applications that you're exposing, right, because what's the most exposed port in the world is port 80, right? You got your application, and you're going to go out and share that. But what if that application is also, not secure? What if the hackers can actually break in and get inside your environment or get hold of your data because of some vulnerabilities inside your application? So that's the next step for most people to take care of. And then after step 3, you really have a baseline, right? You're pretty sure that now you know what's going on inside your environment. And if something changes, you want to know about anomalies. You want to know about what's different, right? Is there some indicator of compromise? So Pradeep talked about it, and certainly Sunil talked about it as well. So these are the kind of things that you want to do, right? So why does this really become difficult on cloud, right? What is the challenge? The simple answer is it's the variety and the speed of things, right? The number of configurable components that you have inside your cloud are far greater than what you have on premise, right? So if you have to compare, right, for a security person, it's like going from the kind of checks that you would perform when you start your car compared to the kind of checks that a pilot does when he's starting a plane, right? It's that many number of moving parts that you need to take care of. There's a scale, right? And so again, with that analogy, the speed at which the car moves and the speed at which the plane moves, right? Imagine trying to secure your data center now that it's flying at the speed of a plane, right? Just visualize that. And all of this happening with a lot of change, a lot of fast-paced development. Okay, so if you had to crystallize it down to 3 things, right? These are the 3 things that you need to absolutely be sure, and this is where traditional approaches come short. Right? Number 1 is you need to be able to scale your security to meet your your cloud scale, right? So cloud is amazing for scale, right? On Azure, you can handle as much load as you can because your security will scale for you. but does your security, rather your cloud will scale for you, but does your security scale along with that, right? Are you confident of that scalability? The second thing, which is even more difficult for security people to deal with, is the amount of change. So every time the developers make a change, if you have to go and change your firewall rules, if you have to go and change the way you've configured your security, that's not going to work, right? They're probably just going to remove it because they'll say, look, you're holding me back. So that's a problem, right? Can you keep up with that change? And then the last thing is, look, you can be on multi-cloud, you can be on different kinds of services, IaaS, PaaS. How do you secure it all? How do you make sure that all of this is set to the same level of security? Okay. We say the three things that you require, is security automated everywhere. Right? This is the mantra that you need to have. You need to have the best prevention and the best posture. And prevention is a big word when it comes to security. It means that if a malware, even if a zero-day malware enters your environment, that's not prevention, right? Then you've only detected it and you're looking to then try and contain it. So we talk about prevention. We don't let even zero-day malware through. We talk about the best posture, right? So we ensure that your environment does not have a misconfiguration, as Sunil talked about it, so that somebody can leverage that to attack you. It is fully automated. So whether you like Terraform, whether you like any of the other automation tools, our entire stack is ready for automation from day one. So it's part of your cloud. It's not a separate alien thing that you're bringing in. And then the last thing is multi-cloud, multi-workloads, right? We secure them all, right? Okay, so skipping through some of this. So the platform that we have is called CloudGuard, right? And it's a single platform for all of your security needs on cloud. So let me just quickly walk you through all of this, right? So you've got the first things first, you've got the firewall, right? That Checkpoint has always been known for. And now this firewall sits natively inside your cloud, whether it's your AWS, Azure, Google, any cloud that you have, your on-premise clouds, right? And it's going to help you secure that, right? And I'll talk about this in detail in the next couple of slides. The next thing that Sunil talked about quite a bit is the posture. And this is really a very, very important piece, because if you don't do this right, it's like saying that I have a fantastic security monitoring system in my apartment building, but I'm going to leave some back doors and back windows open that the security can't even look at. That's not going to help you, right? So if you leave if your posture is not correct, doesn't matter what kind of security you put in, right? You're just making it easy for the hackers to come in. So let me talk about this more in detail as we go along. And then these two are kind of like the foundational stack. With these two, you're securing most of your environment, and you can then start looking at anomalies. You can start finding out if there are events happening in your environment which are malicious, and really go after them. And a lot of people jump straight to SIEM or Sentinel. And this is really a big step in between, because once you do this, you get curated events, because you don't want to look at thousands and thousands of events. You want to look at the right ones, and you want to get all the data in one place. So that's what we talk about high fidelity security context. This is very important. Now, if you are looking at specific workloads like serverless components or containers, Kubernetes, these are very, very important these days. And also your dynamic web applications, right? These require different kind of security as well, right? And here we introduce a concept of workload self-protect, which means that now we're saying that the code is the new perimeter, right? Because you are responsible for these kinds of workloads with your code, with the kind of images you bring in for your Kubernetes, and then that environment, right, has got to learn to protect itself, right? And that's what we do with workload self-protect. So let me talk about that in detail in the slides. All right, first things first. Talking about network security. Okay, so all of the basic security that you get with any of these clouds, whether it's on-premise, whether it's public cloud, they all come with a basic layer of network security, right? Without which you probably get hacked on day one, right? So it's important to set that up. But we help you then get that full next generation firewall capability that you have on your on-premise data center inside any of these environments, right? And seamlessly integrating with that environment. What do I mean by seamless integration? When you create firewall rules on Azure or on any of these other clouds, you don't have to guess when you use checkpoint because all of the metadata is automatically given to you. Okay, and this is a big difference, right? There are a lot of other vendors who have network firewalls for cloud, but you are left on your own when you have to do all of this. We give you this metadata directly in your console. So you can build a rule to say, I want to go from this database to this server without mentioning a single IP address. You can even go from one cloud to the other without mentioning a single IP address, right? That's the power of that metadata. And of course, we do north-south, which is your traffic coming in, and also east-west, because it's very important. You could have a malware inside your environment. And if you're not watching your communication east-west, it could easily propagate a threat, right? Tagging is the most commonly used DevOps principles, right? You want to make sure that you know exactly what is what inside your environment, and tags are a good way to do that, right? And certainly a great common language between security people and DevOps guys, right? So with this, you can now create firewall policies based on tags, and these tags are also automatically discovered. You don't have to, you don't have to learn them or go and extract them, right? And now I can create firewall rules which won't break even if I go from one region to another region, right? Because all of the translation into the IP addresses and other things is done by the firewall. Okay. Very, very easy to deploy. So it's just like anything else that you have inside your environment, your ARM templates, it's all this. It's just like anything else that you do on cloud. Okay, so it's part of your environment, and Checkpoint is known to have the gold standard when it comes to administration. So whether it's going from one cloud to the other, whether it's seeing all these native names of servers and databases inside your logs, all of this makes life very, very easy. Okay. Posture management is the other big thing, right? This is the biggest challenge that is there today. So all of the big news that you see, about hacks that happen on cloud are typically because of very basic misconfigurations. And so you wonder, right? I mean, are people not skilled? I mean, why are these happening? The point is that there's so much scale in cloud, and it's such a collaborative environment. There are so many people working on cloud. You are bound to make mistakes. So it's not to speak at someone's skill level, right? It's a different problem to solve. You need automation, just like you need automation on cloud. You need automation to take care of misconfigurations, right? You need visualization because a picture says 1,000 words, right? So if you start looking at your NSGs inside Azure, right, all you see is pages and pages of configuration. We help you visualize that. We not only help you visualize how you've put up your network, we also tell you what's the kind of exposure you've done. So what better for a network administrator to see, okay, all of these configurations I did on my NSGs or on other clouds, with security groups. What does that mean as far as segmentation is concerned? What is in my DMZ? If I have to put a firewall, where does that firewall sit, right? So this helps you look at that, and this is completely interactive. It tells you exactly what you've done. You can go in and even change the native firewall rules, which is the NSGs or security groups, whatever, right? So you can spot mistakes, right, which makes life very easy. After that, if you want to follow any of the best practices or industry standards, all of those are made readily available as templates. OK, and we've got the biggest source or the biggest compilation of templates around, right? And this is where you really start seeing the difference between. So someone would ask, why would I do this on Checkpoint? Why can't I just use some of the native tools available, right? So because we're a specialist tool, we have a lot more depth, right? And the best part is all of this is written in simple English-like language, right? So you don't have to be an expert in, say, Azure policy or, if you have another cloud, so say like AWS config. These are tools that require skill. Does your security team have that same cloud skill? The answer is most likely not, right? You have different pools of people with different skill sets. With this, it makes your life very, very easy. You want to define your own rule. It'll take you less than 2 minutes. So we call this compliance at, with the size of a tweet, right? That's all you have to define, and you can start governing your Azure environment, your multi-cloud environments. And then we give you a ready dashboard. You can go out and say, OK, how do I, what's my gap? Where are the misconfigurations? You can assign them to people. You can send them to Microsoft Teams. You can send it to Jira, whatever it is that you want to use, ServiceNow, to assign these misconfigurations to be fixed. Some of them, and of course, we tell you how to do it. We tell you the remediation. For some of them, you're going to decide that, look, it's just too difficult. I mean, it's too basic a thing. I don't want anyone to wait to fix this. Great, we have an auto remediation framework. So you say, for these misconfigurations, I just want you to go out and fix it automatically. OK. We give you, complete visibility, and we give you something called tamper protection. This is very, very important. So as a security administrator, if you want to say that, look, I don't want my development team changing my network security groups or my security groups on another platform, right? I can put them under something called tamper protection, which means that even if somehow they got the rights through role-based access to go and modify the NSGs, any changes that they do will be rolled back. OK, so it's a fail-safe mechanism that we give you. All right. And then, of course, anytime we do that, we're going to let you know. OK, we can also help you do privilege escalation protection and all kinds of alerts about misconfigurations in your environment. You can send it to email. You can send it to ServiceNow and other things that I talked about. And of course, you can also send it to Sentinel. Now we talk about workload and app and API protection. Right, this is very important. Today, when you develop dynamic web applications, right, you realize that WAF as a technology has not kept up, which means that every time I go make a change to my web application, I have to go and check my WAF rules to see if there are any false positives, if I'm blocking genuine requests. This is the biggest problem people face on cloud, because I mean, unlike your applications that you had in your data center that you probably modify once in a quarter or whatever, on cloud, you're expected to keep, changing it. You want the attention of your customers. And if you're then blocking genuine requests, it's a big problem. So we actually help you, get what we call precise prevention. We have a AI and ML engine that's actually going to look at every request, and then it's actually going to block only the requests which are malicious, and all benign requests will go through, because it actually monitors, it learns your application's behavior, and looks at some around 6 different contextual risk parameters, right? And then it actually decides whether it's malicious or not, right? So this means that you're going to spend less time, if at all, going and writing some exceptions to it. But for the most part, it's going to just do the protection without you having to write a single rule. It deploys natively in Azure, in other cloud environments, on VMware. It also deploys in your Kubernetes, and it also deploys in if you've got Nginx, right? So fantastic thing. This is really called the next generation WAF, and you should really explore this, right? Moving on quickly, serverless. This is another big thing. We had this functionality for AWS. It's currently running in early availability for Azure. But serverless poses a very big challenge. Here you have a bunch of code that's going to execute inside your environment, which is great because you don't have to go out and create the infrastructure for it. But if that code is malicious, maybe you copied it from somewhere, it has a malicious component in it, or you assign too many permissions to it, this is going to be something that you cannot control. So we help you protect this. We help you give the right kind of privileges that you should be assigning to it. We help you make sure that if there are runtime attacks happening on this environment, we have to actually help you block it. This is what we call code is the new perimeter, right? Because all you have there is code. You can't put up a infrastructure to you can't put up a WAF in front of a serverless function, right? We're now going to help you protect even your serverless functions against these attacks. So you remember what I talked about, runtime self protection. This is the idea of that. OK, moving a little quickly because I know we're sort of time. We help
Yes,
you.
Ashish.
Yes, just winding up very quickly. So we have, if you're moving to Kubernetes, again, something you need to be absolutely careful about. There's, the images can be malicious. You could have people running, crypto mining inside your containers if you don't take care of it. So we help you find out all of these vulnerabilities. We help you find out if you've got malware running inside your containers. If you've got vulnerabilities in your operating systems that you're bringing in now with containers, because now you are responsible for that. And again, just like with serverless and with the web applications, we give you self-protect. OK, so these things will protect yourself. All right, very quickly, I want to make sure that we don't miss on this. Three things that I want to call out, which for all our attendees today. The first thing you heard, Sunil talk about it. You have a fantastic offer where you'll be asked a question whether you want this assessment. Please let us know, because we'll help you scan your entire cloud environment, tell you if there are challenges, and as a token of our appreciation, we give you a 2-month subscription. As you can see, it's available on the marketplace, so you get this free of cost for 2 months for up to $9,000, and of course you get guided. You get a guided assessment from Checkpoint and from Embee. If you want to do something self-service, go out to the marketplace and just run something called Check Me. OK, it deploys instantly, gives you a quick report. That's if you don't want to do the first one. That's a lot better. And of course, if you want to try out our firewall product, let us know. Contact Embee or contact at this email address, and we'll give you, for all eligible customers, you can get up to $2,000 of Azure credits to try out the firewall product. OK, so I'll leave it with that, and I hope you're able to do cloud with confidence. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashish. I know we are over time, and I'll quickly run through the last phase of the quiz, and then we'll announce the winners. And meanwhile, Hariom, you get ready to pull up your screen. I'll just quickly announce: to avail a no-cost 2 months of CloudGuard Security Posture Management license plus no-cost cloud security and compliance assessment. If you want to avail that, you can always reach out to us at connect@embee.co.in. Hariom, should we get started with the last phase of the quiz?
Yes, Vani. Yeah, let me know when my screen is visible.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so I'm about to start the next phase of the quiz.
Yeah.
Here it is.
So how many pre-built rules are available in CloudGuard CSPM? 0, 2000 plus, 10,000 plus, or 5,000 plus? You have precisely 10 seconds now. That's about it. All right. All right. So we have great. Wonderful. All right. So before we come up with the first three winners of the contest, of the quiz, Hariom, do you want to quickly pull up the survey?
Yeah, sure, Swami.
Yeah.
So I'm launching the survey. So you guys just need to give your feedback in the optional answers in yes, no, and maybe.
All right. Yes, it is visible. Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
Yes. Okay. So it's almost wind up time, and would really appreciate all of you answering this one very quick question. It means a lot to us because in the background, a lot of hard work goes into putting things all together, and hearing from you is a lot of encouragement, I would rather say. right? So go ahead, fill out the survey. It will be sitting in the chat window of yours, as you can see. And if not the survey, you can always give us a holler on connect@embee.co.in, and we'll be very happy to assist you. All right, Hariom, should we announce the winners of the quiz?
Okay, Shivani. I'm going back to the screen.
Sure.
Yeah, there is one more question left. What are the 5 components of CloudGuard?
Your screen is
So-
not visible, Hariom.
Okay. Okay, let's then finish with the 4 questions now.
All right.
Yeah. So
All-
here are the winners because nobody has taken part in the 5th question.
Okay.
So the results is out of the 4 questions only.
Okay. Can you project your screen, please?
Yeah.
Great. Namit, congratulations. Kaustav, congratulations. Romy, congratulations. We will be soon handing out your Amazon vouchers to you. And thank you everyone for joining in for today. And we'll soon be reaching out to you with more interesting offers and rollouts. And thank you so much. Stay safe. Have a wonderful day ahead.